Hello everybody, this is AndiNaga, and today we're playing MWO Online. Today we're on the MWO Online PublicTest server, testing out the new changes to Clan Energy as well as the Clan Gauss rifle. Right now we're going to be testing the Clan Gauss rifles. Let's jump in anywhere over here. The Clan Gauss rifles were changed so they have a screen shake or recoil when you fire them. This kind of distinct their fire from normal operations and makes it a bit harder to fire other weapons alongside them. So today we're going to be looking at how much the recoil is and if the recoil increases per how many weapons are fired. Right now I'm running a Dire Wolf. I have 3 ER large lasers and 2 Gauss rifles. So first we're going to test just a single Gauss rifle. There is a screen shake. It's a bit of a stutter. Let's see if I get that a larger stutter if I fire both at the same time. It does seem to stack, so the more Gauss rifles you fire, the larger the stutter will be. When you fire 2, you get a much greater stutter than firing 1. Okay, now the second thing we're going to test is a large laser beam while we're firing the Gauss. So let's charge up, fire laser. It seems to work a lot like jump jets. Whenever you're jump jetting, even though the reticule is shaking, the actual cursor hit point is only off to the side. So let's try this again. Charge, fire. Nope, didn't look like it actually moved that time. So the reticule is shaking, but the actual location of impact is not. Yep. So it does go off to the side. Let's try that one more time. Yep, the laser did go off to the side a bit whenever you fire it, but the second the shake is over, it will trace back. Personally, I think this change won't have too much of an impact. A lot of people, when they're firing Gauss, they fire their lasers anyway because they have burn time, and then they follow it up with Gauss when their lasers are about at the end of their burn. So I don't think this will have too much of an impact on play. They fire while the reticule sliding off to the side when firing. That will affect some people who like to alpha all the weapons at the same time, but for the majority of players, I don't think we're going to feel it too much. Okay, let's drop out of here. Other weapon systems that I'm going to be testing today are the mass energy, as well as the 3 large pulse at the same time. So let's move on to the mass energy. Clan Energy did see, with this PTS, Clan Energy did see a mass reduction in a lot of their damage. If we go into I believe all Clan lasers got a bit of a hit to their damage. Large lasers went down from 11 damage to 10 damage. Medium lasers got the largest hit. They went from 7 damage down to 5.25. Small lasers, I believe, only got a minus 0.6 to them, so they're now 4.4 instead of 5 damage. All the rest of the fine details about what exactly was changed can be seen in the PTS patch notes. So go there for the full list of stats and changes. Let me go test this one out now. Choose something with a bit more of an open area. The build I have on this is based off of what you can do now with the being able to chain any 3 of large lasers together. So 3 ER large lasers or 3 large pulse lasers on Clan can now be fired together. Heavy lasers are still locked to 2. So you can't fire 3 heavy lasers at the same time, but for large pulse and ER large, you can now fire 3 at the same time. the majority, the major build that people were using for the quick burst clan, assuming you had no ballistics, was 6 ER medium lasers and 2 heavy large lasers, which had a damage output of about 78. With this change, that damage output has gone from 78 damage, costing only 14 tons, to 63.5 and costing 14 tons. Now, that's a pretty big hit. I mean, that's almost in itself 14 points, about the same as its tonnage. This build I'm working on right now, like I said, is the one with the 3 large pulse lasers and 6 ER mediums. The weight on this goes up from that 14 ton to 24 tons. So by going to the large pulse, I'm actually moving up a full 10 tons. I'm using more than I normally would. But it takes almost about the same slots, if not the same slots. But the damage is about 64 versus 63.5. So 10 tons more for half the damage more. It's negatable. Let's see how it does. So I only went up to, it looked like 63. Let me move over to the water. (63, 64 heat). Normally, this build using heavy lasers would go out to about 84. I'm still assuming that it would probably go up to that since the heat ratio on them didn't change too much. The large pulse, large lasers, and medium lasers, I do believe got a heat decrease. You're probably going to see similar numbers with the heavy large laser build, but with the heavy large laser build, you are going to have a much longer cooldown with them, as well as the the lack of a backup weapon. With this sort of build, you can kind of chain the large pulse together so you have all your mediums firing, and then right after that you can follow it up with the large pulse. And since the large pulse have a shorter cooldown period, you can use them continuously and pretty much fire them indefinitely until your mediums are either recharged or your heat has dropped enough to be able to, fire everything else. Okay. So yeah, it's looking like the high clan high alphas are going to get hit. The smaller your weapon system, the less likely you're going to feel it. People that are just running like a pair of a large pulse in either arm aren't going to feel it. The Wubhawk won't feel it. Some of the other mechs that focus on more of small or ER lasers, such as the ER smalls, you're going to get a slight damage reduction with that. But all in all, I think you're only going to experience, even on like the a 12 small laser Nova is probably only going to get maybe minus 6 damage at the most, and it can pull off 30 damage per arm, so that'll still be able to work. The lighter mechs will be able to still put out a good amount of damage for clan as long as they're using the smalls. Mostly this seems like it's a nerf to the clan ER medium laser. Personally, I think they could have done with the 6.25 instead of 5.25. 6.25 would have been more in line with the rest of their weapon systems. The small laser only getting a 0.6 nerf. If they gave it a 6.25 on the medium laser, that would only be like a 0.75, and then for the large laser, just 1 whole point. That would have made more sense. Right now, with how things are, the clan ER medium lasers do have 5.7 heat and only 5.25 damage. So you are looking at more heat generated than damage. So I'll have to test this a little bit more against other players and see, what their thoughts are and how the weapon system performs under, combat conditions. Right now, the PTS is set up to be a 4v4. So let's jump back into, let's caustic. This build that I'm running on this Direwolf is the build that I was going to run on my Supernovas. Unfortunately, the Supernova I purchased hasn't been added to the account, so I'm going to have to buy a new one physically in the test server. But for the purposes of the test, this will work fine since the Direwolf is almost identical except a bit slower. But that's fine, as, you know, this is just a weapons test, not really a mobility and viability test with the actual mech. So without Ghost Heat, with 3 large pulse, you're only getting up to about 30 per side. The large pulse still do 11 damage, so you're going to be looking at about 33 damage.
Target acquired. Heat level critical.
So you can put out about 90 damage before hitting your heat cap. This thing is loaded up with nothing but heat sinks, so the heat's dropping pretty fast. And this is a hotter map, so let's see how many shots I can get off before on this one of the hotter maps. How many shots I can get off before having to cool. So.
Heat level critical.
So you can get roughly 120 damage. Well, 79. Actually about 128 damage before needing to cool off. My math's probably horribly off, but so yeah, the 3 large pulse on each side for a larger clan mech seems to work out. You probably get similar results working with a clan small, running 3 large pulse in it. That's just because it gives you a bit more range and the cooldown in it is favorable. Let's see. And assuming you have full heat sinks on a mech similar to this, like a Supernova with 3
level critical.
1. You're looking at about 20 seconds to cool down, and about 4 or 5 seconds before you can start firing again. So prolonged engagements, having the 6 large pulse lasers won't be extremely viable, but for, you know, distances around 700 meters, I can see this being a good poke strategy. Probably do better on the Hellbringer or like mechs where you have a high cockpit and high weapon mounts. Hunchback 2C probably the same. Pair up the 3 ER large or 3 large pulse, high up on the mech, zap at far ranges, and then when things get up close, go from ER mediums to probably be better off now with the ER small, since you know, the mediums, playing ER mediums aren't too viable if this patch comes out like this. So yeah, that's what we're experiencing. Let's see, quit match. Oh, that was just a basic rundown of the different weapon systems, the gauze shake and whatnot with that, the stat changes for the weapon systems. Personally, I think that they could do with the clan ER mediums going up to, you know, at the very least 6 damage to start, and then if they're still too strong, move down from there. But I think that moving them down to 5.25 is, you know, too much of a nerf for them, given their heat and their cooldown. So, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care.